A warm good morning to one and all of you present
Good
for
morning.
this 15th annual meet of the heads of the institution under the Diocese of Diocesan Mission Education Board of the Diocese of Calcutta, a diocese under the Indian Orthodox Church. In this annual meet, we have our manager, Bishop. I think he is expected to join. His Grace Alexios Mario Sebius, all the principals and the headmasters of our various schools. We also have Bishop Victor Henry, who is the Archbishop of the Diocese of Raipur. We have the vice presidents of various schools, the local working committees of various schools. We have the members of the Association of Chhattisgarh Christian Educational Society, which is headed by Bishop Victor Henry. The Diocesan Education Board has been organizing annual meetings for the heads of our institutions for the past few years. Of course, to refresh ourselves and to know the challenges and issues of the contemporary world in the field of education particularly. And this is the 15th annual meet, and the topic for today's discussion or for today's learning that we have selected is the role of human relations in school administration. We all know that we are living in a world which is deteriorating in human values and relationships. But in order to mold a good citizens for our country and of course in a wider sense for the whole world, we need to develop human values and relations. So that is why we are here today. And let me begin with my responsibility, that is to welcome one and all of you. We have our manager bishop who's expected to join, His Grace Alexios Mario Sebius. His Grace Tirumeni has taken the charge of this diocese from the 3rd of November 2022. He was in charge of the Northeast American Diocese, and later he was in charge of the Diocese of Mavelikara in Kerala. He hails from Puttur in Kerala, and he was a professor in the St. Thomas Orthodox Theological Seminary in Nagpur for quite a few years. So I take this time to welcome Tirumeni. We also have among us Bishop Victor Henry, who is the head of ASIS, that is the Association of the Educational Institutions in Chhattisgarh. Bishop, I take this time to welcome you to this 15th annual meet of the heads of various institutions of our diocese. Today, we have among us a very renowned personality, that is Dr. Ravindran, Dr. V.S. Ravindran. He is an educational psychologist and a trainer. He has been involved in training of people in the leadership side in various education institutions, in corporates and government organizations, not for just 1 or 2 years, but for more than 20 years. So we are really lucky to have Dr. Ravindran among us. He has been instrumental in counseling, in giving counseling and guidance to many education institutions across India and abroad. Dr. Ravindran is still associated with the University Grand Commission, the Aligarh Muslim University, the Navodaya Leadership Institute, the National Council of Educational Research and Training, that is the NCERT, under which we all come together. And he is also in the Kendriya Vidyalayas. He is giving leadership in or training, the leadership training in the Ministry of Labor. He is always there in the National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Sciences. He is giving many leadership trainings in the Indira Gandhi National Open University, that is IGNOU, which is known not only in India but far and wide for distant education. He has taken up training of corporates with the NTPC, with the Indian Oil Corporation, with Maruti and Hero Honda, and many other corporates. And presently, he is the Director General of the Institute of Counselors Training, Research and Consultancy. So, really, Dr. Ravindran, we are really glad.
My pleasure, Father. My pleasure.
Yeah. To have you among us. And I take this time to welcome Professor V.S. Ravindran to the 15th annual meet of the heads of our diocesan schools. We have Reverend Father Dr. Joshi Verghese, the diocesan education officer, who has been working behind organizing of this annual meet. Father is on a travel, so I think he will be reaching soon. I take this time to welcome Father Dr. Joshi Verghese to this annual meet. We also have our diocesan secretary, Father Jacob Thomas, in this meet. I take this time to welcome Father. We have the principals of our various colleges and schools who are attending this meeting, this annual meet. I take this time to welcome all our principals and headmasters of all our colleges and schools taking part in this annual meet. We have the vice presidents of our schools and the local working committees of all our schools attending this annual meet, so that we all can keep us updated with the latest trends. We also have the members of the Association of the Chhattisgarh Christian Educational Societies attending this program. They are also leading all the various educational institutions across Chhattisgarh. So I take this time to welcome all the members of the Association of Chhattisgarh Christian Educational Society. We also have among us Professor Keshav Das, who is the coordinator of ICTRC, that is the organization through which we are associated together. So Professor Keshav Das has been in this field for quite a few years, and he has coordinated this program with us. I take this time to welcome Professor Keshav Das also to this 15th annual meet. Welcome, sir.
Thank
Welcome
you so much.
to one and all once again. And I would request Professor Keshav Das for his valuable words, which will be followed by the training session of Dr. Ravindran.
Thank you so much, Father, for your kind introduction introducing Dr. Ravindran, and welcome to all the office bearers, all the heads of institutions present here. Father Joshi, who will be joining us very soon. And I would like to congratulate the entire group for choosing such a progressive topic. As I was interacting with Father Joshi, it's an annual activity where all the leadership actually of different schools, colleges, they come together and discuss the topical issues. And I think that is the need of in order to stay ahead of the learning curve, we have to keep on discussing all these things so that we can meet the contemporary challenges which we are facing as educational institutions. And who other than Dr. V.S. Ravindran to expect to guide all the educators to really work on the very important, what you call this psychological construct called, or socio-psychological construct called relationships. So I welcome all of you, and it's a pleasure to coordinate this program. And I'm sure this won't be the first and the last. There'll be more such programs in offing, and we'll definitely brainstorm and find out the topical issues which we can all discuss. And before Dr. Ravindran starts speaking, a bit of housekeeping task. Dr. Ravindran will be discussing, sharing his understanding, and maybe talking about the given topic of human relations in school administration. After that, we'll be spending some time in summarizing whatever Dr. Saab has discussed, so that you can take back, you can carry a crisp, I will say, idea back. And then we'll be having, we have reserved the time for question and answer session. And the format will be, you will be sending the questions to the number which we are just flashing on the chat, which is Ms. Vijay Nayar's number. And you can just send your questions to that. We will just quickly sift through the questions, see that there are no overlaps. And then last 15-20 minutes, we will be investing and utilizing Dr. Ravindran's presence to respond to the questions which you have posed in front of the audience. So that's how this 90-minute interaction is being structured. And I'm pretty sure with Dr. Ravindran's presence and all eager learners, we will definitely be utilizing best this 90 minutes, and we'll all go back with relatively better understanding of this very important aspect of managing school affairs, which is human relations. So over to Dr. V.S. Ravindran. We welcome you, and we're looking forward to your session, sir.
Do I start, Professor?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, friends. I hope I can call them friends. And this is not, I don't think this is the first time. I think many of us, have met, I have interacted with at least some of them. And, I always wonder, Professor, why people, even after COVID and even after this, I have always wondered, why would they come for an online program? Why not offline? Why not offline? So then ultimately, I myself found out the answer. It is today's topic. Probably the relationship I have cultivated with them. The relationship. Okay, anyway, it is our Dr. Ravindran. So let us go. Let us go. It is not because I'll be telling something so important, but they know, that is what relationship is all about. I remember, I don't know, last time, I think in Goa, I had addressed the same, forum, I think. Once. Am I right, Professor? Is this same forum? No,
different ones. These are different.
Okay. I may get a little confused. For for me, fathers and sisters all belong to the one community, and I do believe. And Professor, many times people have called me father. Good morning, Father. Good morning, Father. So I have asked, yes, you mean whose father? And then they said, you are not a, oh, no, sorry. But you look like a father, and I am proud of, looking like a father. Even though I am only the father of 2 children. That means probably, by interacting with people like them, I have also earned some serenity on my face. Some, what you call, blessing on my face. That could be the reason. So that's it. And because the time, being what it is, I will come straight away. And Professor, I will be basically, not, addressing exactly the topmost leadership only. I would mean in school administration, when you have said, what I would understand is basically I am supposed to be not training. I will not call a small program training, but at the very same time, I must be having principles in my mind. Am I right, Professor? Yeah, that is what I mean. That does not mean it is not applicable for, still senior people or even would-be principals. It will be useful, but the school principal is the leader who I have in my mind. Is that okay? That's what. So in the journey of a school principal's growth journey, we psychologists generally say there are stages of development. So a freshly appointed, principal, a freshly, selected or elected or nominated principal, we call them what we call administrator principle. Administrator principle. What does that mean? I mean, that simply means he or she is happy if not many teachers are on leave, substitution has been arranged. I mean, at noon, buses have reached the destination. I mean, no child has broken somebody else's neck, or everything is fine. Thank God. Now I can have a bite of my lunch. That is what one level of, I mean, principles. And unfortunately, I mean, you should understand, unfortunately, many times principles remain at that level for very long duration also. Very long duration also, because there are pressing reasons. But however, we say the next stage of development is that of a program manager principle. What is a program manager principle? Program leader principle. What does it mean? It means the school's promoters or the society or the management has something called a vision and mission. Vision and mission. And I do hope, I mean, people do have vision and mission. I still remember, I mean, asking one school principal one day, while in the face-to-face interaction, sitting and asking, yes, ma'am, what is the vision and mission of this, I mean, organization? She thought for a while and said, Doctor, we are working on that. We are working on that. What do you mean by that? How long, how old is this school? Oh, only 8-9 years. So your school is running for the last 8-9 years, and now you are working on the vision and mission now. So I am not talking about such schools where they have started with a vision and a mission. I mean, not to be simply put on the reception, but for real practice. Then the principle grows to the level of translating, implementing that vision and mission. Slowly start working. So we call them the program manager kind of. That they have a program, a project, and they will work on that. Fine, good enough, good enough. Then comes not sufficient. I mean, we educational psychologists are a little, I mean, ambitious people. So we say, no, that is not sufficient. That is not sufficient. The principal has to go further ahead, further ahead. Then we talk about the principal, who is a motivator of teachers as well as students. But first, we will talk about now teachers. I mean, student motivation will be another topic altogether. So we will come back to that maybe some other time. So how does one motivate? That is the million-dollar question. All those, I mean, Professor, you should not mind what I am saying, because you are a person connected with both corporates and educational institutions. You see, that carrot and stick techniques don't work in educational institutions. I mean, what you call punishment and rewards won't work in education institutions, and especially the vision and mission being what it is. I mean, I'm specifically talking, Professor, this is only a particular group of, I mean, homogeneous group of principals sitting there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
not from the public. This is okay. So I mean, I'll be only talking about that particular thing. So now what happens? Many a time people are under the impression we can motivate people, I mean, either by giving them rewards or by giving them what we call, I won't say punishment, but sort of a what you call carrot and stick technique. That will not work anymore. What they used to call the positional leadership. I mean, you have a position, and because I have a position, you have to obey me. That will not work anymore. The leadership will now function. Motivation will now happen when you forge relationships. When you forge relationships. I mean, I am really proud to say, I mean, fathers and people who sitting there. I'm really proud. I am heading a very small organization. It's not a very big this thing. However, I'm really proud. It may look like boasting, but nobody left my organization. Nobody left our organization. They have been there for last 25, 30 years. They are there 25, 30 years. So people may ask, Dr. Ravindran, how do you do it? How do you do it? I don't do anything. I don't do anything. I care for them, or we care for them. That's all. Caring. If anybody understands, I'll take an example of a otherwise private school. Don't misunderstand. Yours is also known as a private school only, I think, Professor. Am I right? They will be known, but I'm talking about the so-called public private schools. The so-called public school. One day, it was a friend of mine, the owner, was telling me, Ravindran, how many training we will do? If we train them so much, they will run away and look for something else. Why should we be training these teachers and people like that? But I have told them then, I will told you today. Train them so well so that they can go. Look after them so well, they don't want to go. It is not by not training and not improving and not, equipping them, you keep people. Train them so well, so that they can go. However, care for them so much, so they will not want to go. They will not go for a, 5,000 extra salary. Nowadays, days of head hunting. People are, principals are receiving, not maybe in your organizations, but in general, people are receiving telephone calls. Ma'am, what is your C2C? What is that C2C? Many poor principals don't even understand what is the C2C. Cost to the company, how much you are earning. Yes, we are offering you simply telephones coming home to teachers and principals. This has become a fashion. And people have carved a what we call career out of headhunting. So we cannot, compete with the world like that. We cannot raise the salary of a teacher from this to this because somebody else is giving. No, there are other things people stay for. There are other things people will belong to. That is what we will be discussing further today. Like friends. So I said, a principal has to grow from a mere administrator to a motivating person, but motivating through relationships. So many a time, people have asked me one question. Dr. Ravindran, you are talking about relationships. Don't you think, if we are too close to teachers, if we are too close to them, they will take us for granted? Will they not confuse our kindness with weakness? Will that not happen? And will we be able to control the group? If we are not a little strict and stiff? Please, that is an absolutely wrong concept. You can always have a smiling face. Many principals have a open door policy. I have seen them. Anybody can walk in. Obviously, not every time. There will be a specific time when nobody has to take an appointment or anything. You can walk in, just sit with me, have a cup of tea, talk, whatever you want to. They are more respected than those principals who are feeling I am the most important person. If I open my mouth, my importance will come down. They don't. And people are not as foolish as they look. They are capable of understanding, is this weakness? Is this kindness? If a person is too, what we call stiff, people will really come to the conclusion he or she is scared. And this is a scared person roaming around. That is why he is keeping such a face and not talking to anybody. No, I have already told, I don't know when, whatever forums, I have always been telling every principal of a school should have a cup of tea with all their teachers. Dr. Vindan, are you talking about a party? No, I'm not talking about a party. Party can happen, but what I'm talking about is a cup of tea with me. Have everybody, beginning from the nursery teacher to your PGTs or whatever, all of them should know I have a one-on-one with the principal. I have a one-on-one. I can go and talk to her. So in such organizations, what I have seen is there will be very little backbiting. There will be a very little what we call carry, what do you call, tails. I mean, nothing. They know. I mean, I cannot just go and fill ma'am's or sir's ears, because next day maybe the other person will be sitting with sir, I mean, and having a cup of tea. So sometimes principals told me, Dr. Vindan, we do call them when there is a reason. When there is a reason, we call them. No, that is wrong. You should be calling them without a reason. Without a reason. There is a saying in psychology, strike the iron when it is cold, not hot. Hot iron, everybody strikes. I mean, have you struck an iron, struck the iron when it is cold? And when a teacher is doing her duties comfortably, no complaint, no parent complaint, no correction wrong, then one day you are calling and sitting, then it's a surprise. And you are asking, hello, ma'am, how are you? Everything going on fine? What is your son's plan? Huh? What do you mean? No, your son has just this year cleared the class 10th. So what subjects he is planning to take in class 11th? Finished. Finished in the sense, after that sentence, that teacher will do anything for you. Oh my God. Sir remembers my son is in class 10. Oh my God. Maybe you have a diary where you have written everything. And Suzanne ma'am, her son is in class this, or this, not this, or his brother was ill in the hospital. Maybe that is what we call, psychologists say, be interested. Be interested in not only the subject that particular person is teaching, be interested in them as a person also. That is very, very important. I mean, and I'm so sad. I'm so sad nowadays. Many a time, teachers, especially after this COVID and all these dramas, I mean, people, principal, teachers have started talking to me like this. Sir, nowadays, our principal has become a Hitler. What do you mean by, what do we mean that? I don't know. Every time, no, she's not happy at whatever we are doing, whatever. No, it is probably because she is also in trouble. She is also in trouble because after the COVID, I'm shifting not the topic. After the what you call COVID, what has happened? Discipline in schools have gone for a toss. Discipline in school has gone for a toss. I mean, because children had been sitting at home either without any control or with too much of control. In either case, they are in trouble, because where there is no control, they have been always on the internet. And I don't want to open this Pandora's box, maybe it's a topic for another day. Oh my God, what they are doing, what they are not able to come out of it. Children who had been too much of what we call control, now when they have come to the school, they have come out of that control. So both of them are misbehaving. So in this atmosphere, teachers are generally getting burned out. I mean, they are feeling helpless. Many a time, teachers jump to the conclusion, probably I have failed. I mean, I am not able to manage this class. I mean, the children, don't worry. I have told during the COVID days also, in whatever address I have done, I have told the teachers, principals, and even today, what I would tell you, even after almost a year of, face-to-face school, slow down. Heavens are not going to fall. Slow down. Let us look after people emotionally, socially. I mean, academics will happen. Academics will happen. Please understand. I mean, and therefore, we as leaders should not be after teachers. Finish the syllabus. Finish the syllabus. What is the use of finishing syllabus? I mean, if the recipients are not, so give them some leeway, but at the very same time taking into account what you call what is honesty, what is it not, that much intelligence you have. So one this thing for relationship is, do not be in a hurry. And one major thing I have seen teachers hating, let me tell you, I mean, what professor are not yet principal teachers also sitting here?
Very less number, sir.
So basically, I am talking to principals only. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, let me then be very frank with the principals. Teachers have told me, one thing they hate, I mean, about their leader is the leader not respecting their time. I mean, no respect for their time. I mean, the school is about to, what you call, end. That is when, I mean, the principal feels, now I have to have an urgent meeting and there is some, I mean, discussions happening on. No, it is not necessary. Unnecessary staybacks, not respecting their time will spoil all relationships. That is one very important thing we will have to remember. Respect their time. And also, I mean, I still remember, I am not a party to, I mean, not a, what you call, sympathizer for any, what you call, political party or anything like that. But let me tell you, Professor, long back, I'm talking about 91. The Rajiv Gandhi government was there, if I remember. Rajiv Gandhi government. That is why I remember it so well. I used to be a government servant. Long back. Then suddenly they reduced the working days to 5-day week. 5-day week. Oh my God, such a big hue and cry. And everybody said the world will finish now. How work will be done? What will happen? Do you know what happened? The government saved a lot of electricity, petrol, crores of rupees were saved. Not even an iota of work suffered also. So, as leaders, principals have to understand work will extend to the time it is given. If you give a teacher, you have to be in the school from morning 9 o'clock till 4 p.m. Work will extend till 4 p.m. If you say no, everybody should be out of the school at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, work will finish within that time also. So, unnecessary staybacks is an enemy of relationships. I mean, not necessary, because they have whatever family they have, whatever free time, everybody requires personal time also. So respecting personal time is very important. And you don't, I mean, many a time, I mean, principals have told me, heads of institutions have told me, Dr. Ravindran, we don't have resources. We don't have that kind of resources, Dr. Ravindran. We cannot look after people so well, like what you are talking about. Not required. Resources are not required. I mean, again, borrowing from my own personal experience, that is what I have more. I told you I was in the government. So those days, I mean, at about 3 o'clock in the evening, afternoon, when people are a little bored, they will tell me, Ravi Saab, sir, I mean, in Hindi they will say, ek party ho jaye. Let us have a party. So you please don't jump to wrong conclusion. What is that party about? One, tea and one samosa of the government samosa. You know what a government samosa will look like. One samosa and a government tea. That was all that required. The kind of relationship that forged. And so many times school principal tell me, Dr. Vindran, our teachers are all coming from very well-to-do family. They are least interested in your samosa or barfi or puffs in the... No, it is that camaraderie. It is that, relationship. That is very important. That works. And one or two other important things, Professor, then you can, somebody, questions are coming. Questions, Professor, I will be answering questions later. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And one or two other important things. As far as relationships, human relations are concerned, we should allow people to grow. People to grow. What do you mean? So Dr. Vindran, there could be only one principal or in a school, or a vice principal, or a one headmistress in a school. How do you mean we should allow them to grow? Means what? What kind of a growth is what you are talking about? Two kinds of talk. I don't know. Professor, I have another 4 or 5. No,
Yes, sir.
Because I think many of them must have heard this story. There was this psychologist by the name Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow. He talked about what we call hierarchy of needs. One, well, two, beginning from the physiological needs, human beings have the highest need of self-actualization. Just imagine, Professor, why have these senior people come today? Why have these senior people? Their salaries will not increase. They will not be given a what we call prize or anything like that. Why have they come? Why have they come? They know, okay, we have heard Dr. Ravindran is okay person. So maybe some more, ideas, some more growth. So creating opportunities for, I will not go to the extent of saying self-actualization, but at least personal and professional growth is a way of, forging relationship. So you may ask me, how, Dr. Ravindran, let us say our primary in charge, now, how do we, raise them, or how do we go about doing this, or nothing? Simple policies. Simple policies mean we generally recommend approximately 7 days of training for teachers. 7 days of training every year. Whether internally or from experts from outside, anybody for that matter. 7 days of training. And at least giving them 2 days of training experience. Training experience in the sense, first they are being trained, then they are training somebody else. They are training somebody else. That is growth. That is self-actualization. People are really itching to give what they have. It is not as if people are very selfish. They would love to give what they have. So friends, I can go on and on and on, but now I'll also have some time for question answers and related things. So let me conclude what I was still now saying, then the questions and answers. You see, I said, I talked about a school principal's journey, from an administrator to an expert on relationships and thus motivator. I also talk about, how not, what do we call it? What motivates people? And that doesn't require a lot of money or resources also. And being interested in people, not only in their work, and never ever giving up on a particular person. Never giving up on a teacher. And Professor, I will take one or two, one more example, then I will again come. You see, in one conversation. I mean, one school principal asked me a question. Dr. Ravindran, you are talking about big, good things about teachers and how to motivate them and all those things. There is this particular teacher in my school. He is a physics teacher. I mean, a man. And you see, I mean, when we were selecting him, he was such a wonderful person. But slowly but surely, he has become now just a sad sack. Just go to the class and do something. And if you want to do, you do. Otherwise, you don't go. And what to do with him? What to do with him? Then I asked the principal, what is he best at, ma'am? I don't think, Dr. Ravindran, he is good at anything. Just explore further and we will talk again. After about a year's time, we met in a program. And then she came to me and said, you remember, Dr. Ravindran, you said, just explore. I didn't explore. One day the opportunity came automatically. How? She said that program in charge, event manager kind of a teacher was absent. Then this person I called her and asked, Mr. So-and-so, would you want to, get involved in this management of the event? I was thinking he will shirk. He will simply say, no. He said, yes, ma'am. And doctor, you won't believe it. He performed so well. Every small little thing he did on his own. And that event was a great success. Then he came afterwards and told me, ma'am, whenever anything like that this happened, please call me. I will be able to. Doctor, what actually happened was, not only he started taking interest in all these events and all, his classes also became so interesting. Friends, every teacher, every human being has some aptitudes. Many a time, many of us are not in places where our aptitudes were suitable. And the day you are able to realize that one side of a particular person and give him a little encouragement there, his whole area of work will increase. So I will conclude this part of the conversation by saying, having unconditional positive regard is the key. Having unconditional positive regard, thinking this person can improve. Only I have to search for that. Similarly, in the child's case also, every child will want to make something of himself or herself. Only thing, the gunda, that goon kind of a child also is wanting to do something in life. Only thing is he's not getting the route, which direction to go. So he end up doing socially undesirable thing, attention-seeking behavior. That is the same with, other human beings also. So wish you all the best. And I am ready here for answering your questions. And before that, Professor Keshav will be, concluding, doing everything, in a nutshell. Professor, you are ready for that? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
probably they may not have, I was just having a conversation, not a training. So they may not have taken notes, or you can even provide certain, not call a study material, but some kind of a notes if they can take it with them so that they remember. And you can add, obviously, some more. Thank you very much. And I am here. Ready for, I saw 3-4 hands coming up. So if I am able to answer, I'll try my level best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravindran. I think there is nothing much left for anybody to discuss, because you have very beautifully summarized and touched upon the nuanced aspect of human relationship, which is many times people think it's just about common sense. That is one major myth when you're talking about building relationship. People think it's all about with experience you learn, with common sense you learn. But if that would have been the case, then why so many problems around? That means it requires a scientific approach to manage, and that's what actually you kind of, in a very simple terms, you try to explain. So thank you very much for that, and I'll just maybe take some time to summarize and kind of give a little framework to all our participants, which you can refer at a later stage also. And in the meanwhile, you can also think of the questions and post it on the chat, or you can say send it to the WhatsApp number, which we have just flashed in the chat box. 997-122-6076 is the number where you can just reflect and ask your questions. And after some time, Dr. Ravindran will be responding to those questions, and I'll be asking on behalf of, and I also have some questions. So in the meanwhile, Dr. Ravindran, I think you can take a short break if you wish, and we just kind of expect you to be back in maybe
I
some
don't
time.
mind listening to you, no problem. But
Please, sir. Please, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I am I will say, a beneficiary of Dr. Ravindran's style of leadership. So I think I can take this opportunity to share some more information about this particular topic. And for that, I have built a short presentation, just 2 slides of presentation, which you can later on refer also at your convenience. And I'll just share my screen. Vijay ma'am, please let me know if my screen is visible to all. Is my slide visible?
Sir, yes, sir.
So I think the last point which Dr. Ravindran mentioned is something which I would like to highlight, and I think it's worth mentioning. And there is this very popular saying that there is no man living who cannot do more than he thinks he can. Henry Ford said that. And I think Dr. Ravindran's last half-an-hour discourse was all about what can really make a man do better than what he is doing. So it's whether as a leader, you are giving him an opportunity to grow. As a leader, you are spending time and also interested in his struggles as a individual struggles. And ultimately finding out or helping them to explore the real talent and passion he or she is having. So that is something which I think the formula is the relationship which you build with an individual, which will make him do better than what he's doing currently. If you really see, when you're talking of leadership is actually a relational activity. If you go through the text of leadership, it's all about relationships. You are not the person who is actually doing things, but you have to just maintain those relationships which will make people work. And with the current contemporary scenario, we call it as leading from center. So if you talk of a school administrator or a leader, it's a balancing act. So if you do something which is good for students, teachers may object. If you do something which is for the teachers, maybe the parents may object. So as a leader, your role is to really have this balancing act, and that's why we call it as leading from the center. So I'll just leave you with this framework, which actually talks about the importance of human relationship, which you can always refer and maybe use it for maybe discussing it with your teachers, your staff. If you really see any school, it's all about relationships. So when you're talking about student and parents, the relationship which they share will ultimately determine what you call the social impact of school. How well the teachers are engaging with students, how good is the relationship when you're talking of student teacher and parent teacher, is something which will determine whether school will able to achieve what they're supposed to achieve. So student teacher relationship is the key, which obviously get influenced by, when you're talking of students and parents, their behavior, they're not same as before. What students and parents we are interacting with are actually very different from what they used to be. So there are social reasons, there are technical reasons, how technology has really impacted our lives. All these things will have an impact on the student and teacher parents behavior. As far as teachers are concerned, teachers, obviously their motivation level overall will depend upon the school policy, the promotion policy, hiring policy, the structure, procedures, and all those things. And obviously there is a interplay between the external environment and the school policy and structure. The student-teacher relationship will also be influenced by definitely the school principal. So the school principal will have a lot of bearing on the relationship which the teachers and students will share and the parents teachers will have. And ultimately, this is what we have to really improve as school leaders. We have to improve the student-teacher relationship, the school principal-teacher relationship, school and parent relationship. And that is something as leaders we have to work on this particular area. Now, if you're talking about this human relation aspect, things can go in two different directions. One direction where you have a lot of toxic relationships. When we say toxic relationship, we actually mean where there is a lot of, I will say, scheming happening. Teachers scheming against each other, students scheming against teachers, teachers scheming against students. So that is basically toxic relationship, where you don't like the company of each other. And ultimately, if students are not enjoying the company of teacher, school principal is not enjoying the presence of teachers and non-teaching staff, I think there will be a lot of toxicity in the environment. So that you can relate it with the pollution. So we always talk about pollution, but what about the pollution which you are talking about, which is in the psychological environment, right? So if the human relations are not soothing, it may lead to obviously toxic relationship on one side. If everything is going fine, if school principal is very, I will say, mindful of relationships, then there will be what you call flourishing relationships. So flourishing relationship is a very important or emerging concept in the area of positive psychology. So flourishing relationships are those relationships which actually grow better with time, right? So it is like a positive spiral. So those relationships which are getting better with time are psychologically or technically known as flourishing relationship. So school principals, the school policies and all will have an impact on how much flourishing relationship a school will have. And flourishing relationship, there is a very important, I will say, component of anything which will lead to flourishing relationship is reciprocal trust. So trust is something which is very, very critical to any relationship. If it's a building block, if trust is missing, no relationship can become flourishing relationship. And it's I will say a 5-letter word, but a very powerful psychological concept. And it's very slow. In order to develop trust, it takes time. But if you talk about it's highly fragile also. It takes a second to break trust. So we have to really be mindful of building those reciprocal trust, which will lead to having a flourishing relationship. So if you talk about what actually trust means, that belief that other person will not harm me. That is what trust is all about, right? The other person will not harm me in maybe situation when I'm vulnerable or at risk or whatever. So flourishing relationship, the foundation for flourishing relationship is reciprocal trust. And ultimately, if that is not there, no relationship can become flourishing relationship. So ultimately, as a school leader, we have to work towards building a lot of flourishing relationship in our education setting or in our school setting. How to do that? Already, I think Dr. Ravindran has given you, I will say, snippets which you can really include in your day-to-day dealing with parents or teachers and students as leaders, right? Now let us discuss for last couple of minutes. I'll just be stopping in another 2-3 minutes about toxic relationship. So that is something which is quite obnoxious, right? So toxic relationship lead to what you call a lot of social pain. So social pain is something which you bear, but you don't realize that you are suffering, right? So in the sense, physical pain, at least you can go and take immediate help. But in case of social pain, you don't know what to do. And why anybody suffers with social pain is because of the toxic relationship. And in post-pandemic, we are seeing there is something known as crisis of connectedness, right? So there is loneliness crisis. People are not feeling connected to each other. That is something which is rampant, which we are seeing, and that is where even the discipline problems and all other psychosocial problems are emerging in school setting. So this toxic relationship leads to poor school psychological climate. And I would like to submit here that we as leaders have to be sensitive to the psychological climate of the school, right? And there are parameters, there are ways to really find out how good or bad is the psychological climate. It's same as pollution level. But in case of pollution level, we have scientific tools to measure the AQI, the quality, how much carbon or CO2 levels and all those things. But unfortunately, we don't have markers for how bad is the psychological climate of the school. And the psychological climate of the school is very much dependent upon how much toxic relationships are there. So more the toxic relationships, poor will be the school's psychological climate, right? So ultimately, and the school psychological climate will have an impact on the outcomes or the social impact of school. If you have poor school psychological climate, the school will not be able to achieve what they are supposed to achieve. So as leaders, now the new priority which has been set is to improve or work towards improving the school psychological climate and ultimately achieving what schools are supposed to achieve. Now, what to do in order to improve the school psychological climate, or as we are all talking about environment and all those things. So we have to even start working and talking about psychological environment, psychological climate of the school. If psychological climate is not healthy, we will not be able to achieve as teachers, as schools, what we are supposed to achieve. Now, the answer is already, I think Dr. Ravindan has mentioned, is to work on reducing the toxicity in the relationship. Now, what we can do as a school principal is something which I will just like to leave you with. So as a school principal, what you can do is you can work towards developing a counseling curriculum and a guidance calendar. That is something which we are extensively talking about, and that is something which can work towards improving the school psychological climate. So having a counseling curriculum, why it is important? Because if you deeply analyze counseling as a branch of psychology, it thrives on relationship. There is a lot of research which says that unless and until the counselor and the counselee share a strong relationship, the counselor will not be able to help counseling. So as part of the counselor training program, there is a lot of emphasis which is given on relationships. So we can learn a lot as principals, as teachers, we can learn a lot from counseling curriculum and develop our scientific understanding of how to build relationship. And how this counseling curriculum and guidance calendar will be possible if we offer guidance-based education. So future of schooling, when we are talking about, we are extensively talking about guidance-based education. Unless and until schools offer guidance-based education, we will not be really able to have that social impact which we are looking for. And how guidance-based education will be possible? If school principals are guidance-oriented, if they understand the importance of guidance-based education. So this completes the entire framework when you're talking about the importance of human relations in school administration. And I will just close by saying that the school principals have to adopt what you call psychosocial approach to human relations in order to deal with the toxicity of relationships which are there. And if we're able to deal with the toxicity of relationship, we can improve the school psychological climate, which ultimately help us in achieving what we are supposed to achieve. So with this, I just stop, and I hope in these last couple of minutes, I could give you a broad framework in terms of how human relationships can be improved and we can achieve overall outcome of the school. So thank you very much for your patient listening, and we will share this short PowerPoint presentation with all of you, which you can later on refer or use as wherever you feel like. So over to you, Vijay. I think we are all set for our Q&A.
Yes, sir.
though already we have started receiving questions. Once the Dr. Ravindran joined, we will. Can you see Dr. Ravindran, Vijay ma'am?
No, sir. Sir is not back.
Okay,
Yes.
so we'll just be starting 11 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll just start.
Yes, sir is there.
Yes, Keshav, you asked
Yes.
me to take a break, so I took a break.
No, I think you are perfectly bang on time, sir, and I think we are all ready for our Q&A session.
Whatever.
And I will be on
Whatever
behalf
you
of
order, Keshav.
sure. On the behalf of participants, I'll be asking questions. So, sir, we already got a question. Can we start, sir, with your permission?
Yeah, I am ready, Professor. Just ask me. Yeah.
Yeah, a very, I will say, practical question, and I think a lot of people must be having the same question in mind, and that's why we
Sure.
have selected it. Ma'am, sir, the question goes like, there is a teacher who is positive towards the manager of the school, but does not get along with any other teacher. And the teacher is brilliant one. That is again.
No, come again.
So there is a teacher who is positive towards the manager of the school,
Manager or management?
manager of the school,
Manager.
but does not get along with any other teacher.
So what is the question?
The question is that they are fine. She's a good teacher. He's a good teacher, but her relationship with other teachers is bad.
You see, I tell you, I'm so sorry to say that. Manager is a manager. Manager is a manager. Somebody can have a good relationship with the manager for fear also. You see, the manager is a powerful person. I hope you know, Professor. A manager of a school is a powerful person. So just being okay with him is not the sign of a wonderful relationship. It is not a relationship. It could be, out of fear. It could be out of, fear or favor. But what one has to look at is how is his relationship with others also very important. Only being an efficient teacher is not sufficient, Professor. If their question is that, only because somebody is efficient, should he be tolerated in every other things? It is not the good idea. It is not okay. It is not okay. When you go to the root of the problem, you may be able to help him out. But however, only because of his proximity towards the manager, he start feeling he can get away with anything. If that is the kind of attitude, so this is not a, unless and until I know the whole situation, I will not be able to say. But in general, what I would only suggest will be, again, that is a problem for not he's a bad person, his insecurities, his thing. So as a leader, if the question is what to do, is try to find out what is actually what you are seeing is the tip of the iceberg. What is beneath? Is it something? Then one can come out of it. That is the thing. Otherwise, it is not okay. It is not okay. Yeah.
I understand, sir. Sir, I think another question which we commonly encounter when we are talking about this topic of relationship is that if I share a relationship, and maybe when you are having a good bond, you share your personal details, also the struggles you are having at the family level and all. So as a teacher, when I'm talking to a principal and sharing my issues, don't you think it will negatively affect the appraisal of a teacher?
Again, you see, this is very, 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 very important question. That is why I don't know whether you had told them in the other part of this thing. Every school principal, especially about Christian organizations, I don't have to say it because they already are trained people. every school principal, every school teacher should be a counselor. And she, if trained in the counseling skills properly, she will be able to handle personal things separately. There will be no role confusion. Only because I know everything about this teacher, I mean, oh, I forgive everything, whatever she does, that will not be done. So for that, the principal or the leader has to have professional training in counseling skill, professor. Then this confusion will never come. I mean, and that is the best way. I mean, I would rather go to the extent of every teacher should be a teacher counselor. I have been always telling this last 4 decades to, I mean, people. I mean, if you remember. So it is, otherwise it is not going to create it, because, you know, when the principal is having a cup of tea, if you remember the first question, the first thing I was telling, with a teacher, it will not be like in front of the table. She will come down to the level of the teacher, sit in a sofa, on a corner or the sofa, then have a conversation. That itself will come down. And when she goes back to her own chair, then that will be the principal talking. Principal talking. I hope you understand the setting, the attitude, everything. So there is no harm, provided the principal or the leader is counselor trained. Otherwise, it will complicate things. That is all.
I understand, sir. So
Yeah.
there is a question which I'll just, maybe before I ask this question, I would like to make this announcement that if participants wish, they can put their questions in chat also. So either they can WhatsApp or you can write your questions in chat also. Generally, the chat questions, there is it goes away, but still we'll just try to manage that. So you can send your question through WhatsApp also, and you can put it in chat also if you wish.
Whichever way, Professor, whatever, only rider is, only disclaimer is, I will answer only if I know the answer. That is it.
Sir,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure if you don't know the answer, then nobody knows. I can very well
I
avoid
cannot
some.
say that, but I mean,
So, sir, the next question.
am I supposed to read the chat or you will select?
I'll read, sir. I'll read.
Okay, okay.
So the next question, sir, is one of the participants is asking, there is a teacher who likes to be appreciated. A teacher who likes to be appreciated, but avoids taking responsibility. How to deal with such, or how to bring positivity in her?
You see, I mean, this is a little longer kind of a question, Professor. You see, I'll go into a little psychology. They don't mind. They are all, I mean, psychology trained people, say they will not mind my going into. You see, rewards work at various levels, Professor. Various levels. So first of all, we have to understand, does rewards work at all? Yes. I mean, Skinner said, I mean, he will give $1 for every good work a child does. You understand? Similarly, Dr. Ravindran would say, you can give rewards, but rewards should be not continuous rewards. Whenever one does some good work, reward. Whenever reward, that should not happen. It should be intermittent. Second thing is, slowly tangible rewards can be made intangible. A good word, a good praise, a smile. But ultimate idea is motivation should come intrinsically. I mean, one should be feeling like doing something because he gets happiness out of it. So as a leader, what can you do? Let us come to that now. First and foremost, the policy should be, when somebody is asking or demanding praise, don't give it. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Then somebody is demanding praise, don't give it. But catch that person doing good sometime, catch them doing right, then give. So slowly it works at a subliminal level, and we'll understand only, my asking, my wanting, praises is not sufficient. But when I have done something good without my asking or without my demanding, it is coming automatically. So this is the principle of behavior modification.
Right, sir.
Thank you.
Very rightly said, sir. But there's a connected, I think, always whenever this kind of question comes, what is the difference between reward and bribe, sir?
Very simple. I have already explained it. I will again explain it. I will take the example of a child. Let us say a child is not doing homework. Okay. And the mother is saying, please, beta, please do this. If you complete homework, I will take you for this. I will buy you an ice cream or this thing. This is what we call not reward, but this is bribe. What happens? Psychologists say the behavior which was happening, that will get reinforced. What was the child doing? Not doing homework. So next time, even if he has what we call intention to do homework, he will not do it. He will rather wait for mama to come and promise a what we call ice cream. That is very, very important. You have to remember it. However, one fine morning, the child is just like that, felt like doing homework. The mother should be cognizant. Mother should just watch. Oh my God. Catch him. Child, you have done homework on your own. Mama didn't even say anything. That is a reward. Maybe it is the same ice cream, but how you give it, what that behavior which is reinforced will reoccur. That is very important. Very good question. I think a lot of intelligent people are sitting there.
Yeah, they are all connected.
Very, very. Even my psychology students will not ask these questions. Yeah.
Sir, I think as we are on the topic of reward, a connected thing is, as when you're talking of relationship, as we are talking about, we have to maintain healthy relationship and all. What is the role of punishment? So as schools, as teachers, when we use punishment to modify behavior, what kind of impact it will have on relationships?
See, I tell you, we psychologists do not like the word punishment at all. Because punishment always carry hostility. Even when it is a teacher or it's a student, punishment, the very term is negative. A euphemism for punishment is what we call consequences. Consequences. For example, a teacher who is not submitting his what we call answer sheets on time. Let us say an example. Let us say on time. You cannot call him and reprimand him and then also cancel his vacation or cancel his this thing. That will build hostility. Simple policy. Whenever you are giving the so-called punishment, it should not look like a punishment. It should look like, I am sad. I am sorry. I have to do this. But sir, you have to complete this correction. Then only your vacation starts. We are very sorry for that. But this is the position you should understand. So, punishment word we don't like because of hostility. If punishment would have served the purpose, Singapore should be a beautiful place. Singapore should be a beautiful place. It is beautiful for visitors, but not otherwise. For example, I don't know whether they are aware of it or not. In Singapore, school children can be hit with a cane as a punishment. It's a punishment. But did that reduce crime? Did that? No, it has not happened. So it is the attitude behind. Many a time parents have asked me the same. I think many questions are very relevant. Parents have also asked me many questions. Dr. Ravindran, you must also have been beaten up once in a while when you were a child. I said, yes, I have been. So now you are okay. That is in spite of that. That is in spite of that, not because of that. Not because of that. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Parents ask, sir, can we sometime give one once in a while? Oh, if you are very comfortable, you are calling your child, there should be no anger. When you punish, anger is combined with it. And anything done under anger will be wrong. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? If you can call a child, come here, son, this is for your improvement. I want you to become a great personality. Say, may I beat you 2-3 times? Please turn. If you can do that, go ahead. You cannot. If you have that much patience, then you need not punish. So punishment will block your learning brain, professor. That is the problem. That is why you must have seen, for the same crime, same thing, so many times punishment happens. It again happens because of punishment, the thinking, learning brain stops functioning. That is the problem.
I think, sir, very rightly said. And I think the next question is more or less more of a clarification. The question goes like that: after these years of pandemic, schools have reopened. We are noticing that neither rewards nor bribes, nothing is working. It's becoming very challenging for us to motivate students.
Professor, is this the last question? Do I go a little late detail?
So you can do a justice, sir. I think.
Yeah, because you know what? To know all is to forgive all. To know all is to forgive all. Who better than, fathers and sisters will know, this particular, saying. What has happened to children, let me tell you. Actually, children go through a socialization process. What is that socialization process? First level, they form small groups. When they form small groups, what happens? There will be some trouble. So what psychologists call storming will happen. STORMING, storming. Then what is called norming will happen. What is norming? Things will start normalizing. Then performance will happen. Children has to go through the process of, group dynamics. That is how they grow. COVID, destroyed that process. And when the schools reopened, neither forming happened, nor storming happened, neither norming happened. Straight away, they were supposed to perform. Now come perform. They cannot. They will go through the whole process again. So there will be storming. That is indiscipline. It will take time. There should be a little. What the schools can do, even though we are little going away from the topic, we will keep it some other day. What at the school has to be very careful about 2-3 important things. Number one, give children opportunities for small group interactions. Small group interactions. That is very, very important. Second, while a teacher is going on the veranda, if a child is coming from the other side, at least, good morning, child. How are you feeling today? Just ask that. That child who is sitting in the class, in the corner, and not talking to anybody, not disturbing anybody, don't neglect him. Go near him. Don't have a cup of tea. At least call him to your room. Sit down and say, who are at home? What is happening? What is this? That. You see, there is a saying, Professor, if there is a one caring adult in the life of a child, the child will never go astray. That is why I have always said every teacher should be a counselor, every teacher, principal should be a counselor. Again, sorry, I had a slight bad throat. That is very important, Professor. So, children has not gone through, all these processes. They have to go through it. They will go. So, do not panic, principals, teachers, whoever is sitting there, do not panic. It will take a little more time. And we mean, I am not the government, but part of the whole system. We are also careful. We try our level best not to fail children in class 10 and 12. If a child has a special need, we look after them. Okay, fine, no problem. We are more worried about the mental health of children than anything else. So do not worry too much. Oh my God, this year that has not happened. This year this has not happened. Nothing. Things will happen. You should not panic. Your teachers should not panic. Give them time, but that does not mean, be permissive. No, you have to have. Just remember, they have come to nursery today. They just come to the first class today. Whatever you have to slowly build, start building up.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think you very well stated this. And that's what we were just talking about, psychosocial approach to relations. So when we say psychosocial approach, it actually means you have to understand that individual first in terms of his interest, his personality, and then maybe the challenges he's going through, how far he's able to cope up with issues. And the social part is the group dynamics, which you have just talked about. So how he's behaving in a social situation, which they were not really got an opportunity to do so. So rather schools have to play this role of giving them this opportunity to interact with the group and engage constructively so that they can identify their true, I will say, self. So maybe, sir, one last question and then we'll close today's proceedings. And as we are on the topic of relationship, we have to talk about what you call very thin line of difference when you're talking about relationship and romantic relationship. So there are so many schools and there are hundreds and thousands of teachers they are managing. So in general, there are romantic relationship which we find in the teaching, non-teaching staff. So as leader, what should be my role to deal with these romantic relationships which we find on campus?
No, they will deal with it. Why they should deal with it? Those people who are intermarried. You see, you cannot have a law saying you cannot fall in love, Professor. Okay. But only you should have a policy where teachers should be knowing that they will not become a scandal for the school because thousands of small eyes are looking at them. The culture should not be, if at all they are falling in love and if they are having relationship, it is not a bad idea. Don't take it as an order from Dr. Ravindran. One of them go to another school and then get married and go away. But you cannot have laws saying, you cannot fall in love. Oh, प्यार करता नहीं हो जाता है. So for example, but however, having said that, I am taking it as romantic things, but not indecent behavior. That cannot be tolerated. The decorum should not be. That is in the case of children also, others also. That's what. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think these are very nuanced aspect of school administration which you have touched upon, and right from giving them mantra, or you can say the steps as leaders, as we all say that leadership is all about, leader is actually as an activity is a relational activity, and you have given us the ingredients in terms of how we can really manage relationships. And as we have also discussed,
But
that
Professor, what I am seeing is from the questions they are asking, I think you will have to conduct 100 programs for them. Yeah. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much. I mean, it was a pleasure. I cannot meet you, sort of. I am not meeting, but call them up for all our Wayanad programs and all, Professor. Are you calling
Yes,
them?
we do invite them, and we are discussing maybe an exclusive program in coming months. So
All the
thank
best.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, Priest, and
Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
thank you. It was a pleasure being with you early morning. Always a
So
pleasure. Always a pleasure. Only I was not able to see all of them. I could only see a few of them. That's all. Thank you. Okay.
thank you so much, Dr. Vidyan. I'd like to thank Father Joshi Varghese, Father Korean, all other participants for. Father Joshi wants to say something. I think he has raised his hand. From our side, sir, the program we are through with the question and answer session. We can officially close the program. Joshi sir, Father Joshi, you can unmute and speak.
Yes, Professor. Sorry, I'm actually outside. My table's late.
Yes, sir.
Time. I would request either Father Dr. P.H. Varghese or Father Sunny John to propose the water trans.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Father. Yes,
Yeah,
Father.
yeah. Good afternoon to all. I'm very extremely happy to hear the sessions from Dr. Ravindran sir and Keshav sir, Professor Keshav. This is the first time I am hearing you. The topic which we have chosen, that is human relationship in school and academic administration, which is very vital and relevant topic. Sir Ravindran has led us. It was eye opener, and your session is very excellent and very good. So hope that all the teachers, all the respected teachers and principals and all the administrators were in this group. Around 80 plus were in the. I was also traveling, so I missed. But what all things I heard, I have made a note also. It is very fruitful. Actually, the human relationship in our life that moves our life, that will give fruits in our life. So that the best relationship, and your session was very good. Indeed, we are looking for another session also in offline mode. This was the 15th meeting, annual head meetings of this Diocesan Mission Education Board conducted this one. Father Joshi also took tremendous pain to conduct this. I sincerely appreciate, and our sincere thanks to Dr. Ravindran and Professor Keshav. And also, our sincere thanks to all the principals and all the heads of other institutions. Some nuns also were there. We are very grateful to all of you. And it was a wonderful session. Thank you very much. Looking forward to meet you for the next session, sir. Okay, in offline mode. So God has given us an opportunity, vital opportunity. I am from Northeast Nagaland. So it was a pleasure that all of us could meet in this way. So thank you very much for this session. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.